Audio to come up live or to test?
Audio, we are live.
Okay.
Screen to you.
Lisa, go ahead and go live on your side.
All right. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lee Arnold, and I want to welcome you to the CEO Fireside Chat. This is something that we have been doing as a company for well over the last 10 years, so quite a few of these. But we are doing something very different, something that we have not done before in this setting or in this format. And that is, while I am broadcasting live to all of you through our usual GoToWebinar channels, seasoned veterans that are here, I see you guys. You guys are listening through our normal GoToWebinar channels, but we are also now live streaming to Facebook, and we are also live streaming to YouTube. And Peter, what channels is it to the Lee Arnold System Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay, so for those of you that are joining us via GoToWebinar, where you only have audio, if you would like to enjoy the CEO Fireside Chat with visual, if you'd like to watch and listen and look at the screen all at the same time, you can go to Lee Arnold System right now in Facebook and simply like the page, and then you will see right there that we are broadcasting live. The only disadvantage of going to Facebook is that I will not be able to interact with you outside of the GoToWebinar chat. So my best recommendation for you is to keep your GoToWebinar going. Also open up another browser within Facebook. That way, as we are opening up for chat and conversation, you guys can still be participating in the chat through GoToWebinar here. Okay, so we got a lot of cool things going on over the last several weeks, just in the midst of COVID. As a company, we have been doing a lot of things from the standpoint of virtual learning, e-learning, and have made a lot of really cool, fun, and exciting changes. Mainly to our what used to be an in-city funding tour. We're now doing virtual funding tours on the East Coast and the West Coast and the Midwest. And we're doing all of our certifications now virtually, which is also very exciting. So for those of you that have not had an opportunity to participate with us in one of those formatted trainings, hopefully you will join us for one of those, but it's going to be a very similar format and presentation as you're experiencing here tonight. But this is the CEO Fireside Chat. These happen the first Monday of every month. And the goal here is to get you guys the latest and the greatest updates on what's happening from the standpoint of the market, what's going on nationwide, and just get you some information that you can go out and make some money with. So that is our goal here with all of our CEO Fireside Chats. So with that, why is now the time to be part of the Circle of Wealth? That is our topic for today, and that is what we are going to be covering this evening. Disclaimer, however, information in this webinar, including information regarding targeted returns and investment performance, is subject to change. Forward-looking statements, hypothetical information or calculations, financial estimates, and targeted returns are inherently uncertain. Now, because we are going to be talking about funds and managing funds and what that looks like, you guys are going to find that this presentation, especially my CEO Fireside veterans, you guys are going to see a lot more disclaimer language than you're used to seeing, because our attorneys have run this thing 12 ways to Sunday, as you can see here in the new disclaimer. So let's read it together. The information on this or in this presentation does not constitute an offer to sell the membership interest identified herein in any state or jurisdiction in which the issuer is not qualified to do so. Security Investment Corp. Or their affiliates may also offer securities to accredited investors. Investors who believe they qualify as accredited investors may access additional information about these offerings at securiteinvestmentcorp.com fund info. Circle of Wealth Fund 3 LLC has filed offering circulars and may additionally post qualification amendments. including supplements to such filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, that covering the current offering of membership interests. An investment in membership interest entails risk of loss, and you may lose all or part of your investment. Each investor should carefully consider the risk factors and other information discussed in the qualified offering circular and membership interests. For those of you that are interested in reviewing the actual offering circular, there is the link where you can get it directly from the SEC's website. Now, for those of you specifically that have an interest in Reg A plus offerings, the structure, the language, this is a Reg A plus $50 million offering, which is a company I think we've invested now almost $300,000 into putting this thing together. It has been a labor of love, and I'm going to explain to you how and why through the course of our time together here this evening. Generally, no sale may be made to you in this offering if the aggregate purchase price you pay is more than 10% of the greater of your annual income or net worth. Different rules apply to accredited investors and non-natural persons. Before making any representation that your investment does not exceed applicable thresholds, investors are encouraged to review Rule 251D-2IC of Regulation A. For general information on investing, investors are encouraged to refer to investor.gov. Copy of these materials may also be obtained for free at the SEC's website at https://www.sec.gov. Some statements in the offering circular and on this website may contain forward-looking statements and are based upon current expectations, plans, estimates, assumptions, and beliefs that involve numerous risks and uncertainties. Although manager believes that the expectations reflected in such forward-looking statements are based on reasonable assumptions, actual results and performance could differ materially from those set forth in the forward-looking statements. You should consult with your own attorneys, accountants, and other professionals, advisors prior to making any investment. The information above presents a general summary of the business and the purpose and principal business terms and investment of the company. The summary does not purport to be completed in and is qualified in its entirety by reference to the more detailed discussion contained in the offering circular. Articles or information from third-party sources outside of this domain may discuss manager and/or company or its affiliates to relate to information contained herein, but manager and/or company and its affiliates do not approve and are not responsible for such content. Hyperlinks to third-party sites or a reproduction of third-party content do not constitute an approval or endorsement by manager and/or company of any of its affiliates of the linked or reproduced content. This is the last one, you guys. I promise this is the final disclosure slide. Neither company, manager, nor any of their other affiliates are registered investment advisor or broker-dealers, do not provide investment advice. No communication from company or manager through this email, website, webinar, other materials, or otherwise is intended to be or should be construed as investment, tax, financial, accounting, or legal advice. Neither company, manager, nor any of their affiliate provided tax advice and do not represent in any manner that the outcomes described herein will result in any particular tax consequence. Prospective investors should confer with their personal tax advisors regarding the tax consequence based on their particular circumstances. Neither company, manager, nor any of their affiliates assume responsibility for the tax consequences for any investor of any investment. Now, I'm pretty confident that my attorney got together with my marketing team and put this in here as a goof. This is a spiff. They are ripping on me. Okay, so seasoned veterans, you now know what you need to do, okay? You need to go right now into the chat portion here of the webinar. And you need to do two things. Number one, you need to say, I understand and I agree to the terms of the disclaimer. And number two, if you are new here with us today, if this is your first CEO Fireside Chat, please let us know simply by saying first time. That's all you need to do is just say first time. First time. Okay, while those are coming in, let me tell you what I'm seeing here. Okay. Shri, I see you on YouTube and GoToWebinar. Cool. Yeah, YouTube. Deborah Williams, we're on YouTube as well. Tom Amorine, good to hear from you, sir. Debbie Richard says, Facebook didn't work for me. Says I can't use the feature. That's too bad. Tim, awesome. Virtual training is great. Welcome. Glad to have you here with us, Tim. Debbie says, I'm fine with the webinar, though. Nick, only one title page. Okay. Lowell Yoder, welcome, Lowell. Lowell agrees to the disclaimer, and this is his 495th CEO Fireside Chat. I made that up. That's For those of you that don't know, Peter Slaney is our all things production and technology guru. And he is here in the studio with me if you're wondering who I'm talking to. I guess you would be, who was Johnny Carson's sidekick? Who was that? That was
John.
Ed
McMahon.
Ed McMahon. Yeah, you're my Ed McMahon. That's,
I'm in.
yeah.
That was cool.
Okay, let's see here. Joan Hawthorne, welcome Joan, good to see you. Debbie says plenty of chats. Yep, good to see you, Debbie. Susan Stifler says first time, welcome Susan. And Alejandro Galaviz, welcome Alejandro. Shamilia Bankston, welcome Shamilia, glad to have you here. Let's see, who else is a first timer? Philip Morris, welcome. Raj Kumar, welcome. Jennifer Hahn, there she is. Jennifer, we're watching you. We're always watching you, Jennifer. Michael Fleming, good to see you, sir. Always love seeing Michael Fleming here with us. Tamika Griffith Alexander, first time. Welcome, Tamika. Deborah Williams, first time. Welcome to Deborah. Glad to have you here with us. Barbara Palmer, first time. Gayar Humiston, first time. Peyton Barber, welcome to you guys. Yogi Gupta. Tony Jones, welcome, first time. Got quite a few first timers here, that's great. Let's see here. Randy Summers, welcome. Lucy says, first time, took your broker and wholesale classes, woohoo, here to learn. Welcome, Lucy, good to see you. Mary Griffith, first time, excited. William Wallace, first time. Murray Wiggins typed in Ed McMahon. He thought of it before you and I did, Peter. That's awesome. Chris Ash, this is his second fireside chat. Welcome back, Chris Ash. Let's see here. Joan Hawthorne, there's no picture of you on the webinar screen. Should they be moving? Your smiling faces on Facebook. Yeah, Joan, through the GoToWebinar channel, we can't do the image in videos because GoToWebinar is just a PowerPoint platform with the accompanying or corresponding audio. So unfortunately, we cannot stream that way through the GoToWebinar channel, which is why we're now opening up YouTube and Facebook and some other channels that we will be bringing to you very, very soon. Daniel Demisi, welcome. BB Rashid, this is their second time, welcome back. Tom Hudson, first time as a certified broker. Congratulations, Tom. Welcome to the broker world. Philip Galvin, welcome, first time. Raj Kumar says, do you see my chat box? I can't see anyone's. Yes, Raj. This is a very different format than you're used to in our virtual funding tour certificate or our certification events. You guys don't see all the chats. I only see them here on my side. Anthony Warwick, first time. Welcome, Anthony. Michael, let's see here. Michael says, thanks, Lee. Great to be back. Jennifer Hahn says, where did that go? Why does it feel like somebody's watching me? I have no privacy. What was that song? I always feel like somebody's watching me.
Yeah.
Who sang that? I always feel like somebody's watching. Rob G, first time. Welcome, Rob G. And Franco Kalana says, I'm a certified broker. All right, very cool. Michael Jackson, says Chris Holland.
Jackson, yeah.
It was. Good job, Chris. Well done. Okay, with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the meat and the potatoes of our topic for tonight. And that begins with, what is the circle of wealth? Circle of wealth is a formula that, if and when followed, will help you build long-term and passive income. That is our goal for you as our client. Now, how the circle of wealth works is pretty simple. It starts with education. Many of you know that we have the Lee Arnold system of real estate investing, and we have had that for many, many years. But we've also had Kogo Capital for many, many years. And Kogo Capital is a nationwide provider of funding to real estate investors all over the good old USA. And we have lent thousands of loans, and we have lent hundreds of millions of dollars. And through the Lee Arnold system of real estate training, partnered with Kogo Capital, we have helped people amass small fortunes and make millions of dollars. and buy, fix, and flip houses for profit. And through those efforts, through that knowledge, through that access to capital, we have beautified neighborhoods all over the nation. We have taken some of the worst, troubled, blighted, abandoned, boarded up drug houses literally on the face of the planet, and we have returned them to productive use through investment, through knowledge. And it's just it's an incredibly fulfilling and satisfying business that we get to be in and that we get to participate in, because we really are serving so many people within the community merely as a result of our efforts to go out and find these rundown, challenged properties, and through sweat equity and knowledge and project management and leadership, we get to improve communities and make everyone's lives better. And it has to be a win-win, which is why our motto at our company is we get more of what we want by helping others get more of what they want. So from education to access to capital, we manage all of those things through Lake City Servicing, which services all of the loans that we have written. It sends out the billing invoices, it collects the payments. It then takes those payments and it makes payments out to our one-off investors who purchase our notes wholly, either through retirement accounts, cash, 401ks, self-directed IRAs. But then we also cut checks to our investors that exist in one of our still active 2 private equity funds, which is the Secured Investment Corp High Yield Fund 2. We had opened High Yield Fund 1 in 12 and closed it in 18. And then we opened Fund 2 in 13. It's a perpetual ongoing fund. And then just recently we opened Fund 3, which is a Reg A plus $50 million fund. I'm going to talk more about that. But all of this falls now under the purview of the parent company, which is Secured Investment Corp. And it's kind of like the game of life. I don't know if you guys have played this recently. But my daughter is very competitive. And so the other night, as we're all shut in, she says, "Dad, I'm going to beat you at life tonight." I said, "Well, I don't see how that's possible, Junior, because I crush at life." Long story short, she beat me. But the process of the game, you go to college and you determine what your income level is going to be, and then you got to go through life and you get married and you have kids and you have, your roof blows off from a storm, and then you strike an oil well and you get $100,000. And then at the very end, then you decide if you're going to go to winner's circle or if you're going to go file bankruptcy, or if you're just going to go to, I think they call it Peaceful Village, where you just retire. But this is the real game of life. Many of you are here because you want to invest in real estate. You have a desire to be more effective as a real estate investor, but you haven't yet successfully consummated a transaction. Others of you are here because you've done a handful of deals and you've started getting some traction under you and you are on your way. Others of you are here, you've been investing in real estate for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you have made an entire career out of it. You've done very, very well. And you're now sitting on a surplus of funds that you're looking to do something else with that could be considered more passive but still protected by investing in assets that are secured against real property, which is really smart. And so what we do here at Secured Investment Corp is we provide access to opportunity through different channels depending on your background, your experience level, your motivational levels, ultimately what your end goal is and what that looks like. I think one of the challenges that a lot of people have is that we all start similarly the same. Not a lot of money, not great credit, kind of making our way through it. And some amass to fortunes in a short period of time, others never get there. But I think the one missing link is determining exactly what it is we want to accomplish and by when we want to accomplish it, which is why one of the main parts of our training and education here is our goal for you guys, our clients. And goal number 1 is we want to help you generate $250,000 in cash. And then our second goal is to get you to a place where you have $1 million in investable assets, excluding home equity. The reason for the goal, and I can't tell you how many we see thousands of clients each and every year, you guys, and I can't tell you how many have sent me an email or a text or a phone call and said, "Hey, thank you. Prior to you giving me the goal, I didn't really have one and didn't know what the goal should be. I had a conversation with a guy today, and he said, I've been in real estate for 5 years, and it wasn't until you said $250,000 in cash and $1 million in investable assets, he said, I didn't really know what I was trying to accomplish until right then and there. So for some of you watching right now, that could indeed be your aha moment, right? Okay, here's the goal. I'm getting involved in real estate because I need to make $250,000 in cash. So I have cash in the bank and I need to generate $1 million in investable assets. So that's kind of how this starts, and this is where it came from. So a series of conversations with people just like you. It also came from my humble beginnings. Now, some of you know my story, so this will be review. Others of you don't. But this is my first non-farm job. I grew up on a farm. It was a strawberry farm. We had strawberries and we had alfalfa. And so we ran a U-pick strawberry farm where I would have to weed a row of strawberries that was 1,000 feet long. And for doing that, my mother would give me $1. I didn't really understand the value of $1 at that time, because if I had, I certainly would have renegotiated. Although I'm pretty confident she would have won in those negotiations. So my first non-job was at a grocery store back in the early 90s, making $3.90 an hour. While I was working there, I was also attending community college. And my plan was to get my AA degree, and then I was going to transfer to a 4-year and get my degree in marketing or finance. So that was the plan. Well, one day I'm sitting in Philosophy 101. I was a sophomore. And the professor, I don't know why, but for some reason the professor on that particular day decided to announce that he was making $45,000 a year as a college professor and got 3 months off in the summer. And if we would devote ourselves and work hard, that one day we could be like him. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, so wait a minute. I am working myself to the bone at the grocery store to generate income to pay for these classes because I didn't have student loans. Mom and dad didn't pay for college. So I'm working to put myself through school, and I hear that, and I'm thinking, good grief, the last thing I want to do is work my tail off for the next 5-10 years if the goal is a job making $45,000 a year. Now, for those of you that make $45,000 per year or less, I don't mean you any disrespect. It's simply for me, I wanted to generate more income than that. Well, at the time of hearing this, I was reading this book. Now, many of you have read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't, you should. It should be, foundational for anybody that's looking to start something entrepreneurial. Now, for me, as I was reading this book, I came across the concept of if you want to be successful in anything, you have to surround yourself by those that are already successful in that thing, which meant if I wanted to be a successful business owner, it was not going to be learned at community college. I needed to go work with and for a successful business owner. Well, my second aha moment was I needed to overhaul my life plan if I wanted to achieve the kind of success that Kiyosaki talked about. Now, while working at the grocery store, my shift was 3 to midnight. So I was something called a merchandiser. So I went from bag boy to merchandiser. And my job was to make the end cap displays. They call them a point of purchase display, so that when you walk into the store, you're tempted to buy it because it looks pretty. So my job was to build these displays, and I worked from 3 to midnight. So I would go to college from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'd have a break, and then I'd work from 3 to midnight, and then I'd come home. Well, you don't come home and go straight to bed. You come home and you eat some dinner and you hang out. So I'd get home at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I watched TV. Well, the only thing on television at 1 o'clock in the morning was infomercials. And up until that point, I didn't really know what my career trajectory was going to be. I knew that I wanted to do something entrepreneurial. I knew I wanted to be in business, but I didn't know what. And so when I saw this infomercial that you could make a lot of money in real estate investing, I thought, cool, I'm going to go down there. So I went to this real estate investment seminar at the DoubleTree Hotel in the city I grew up in. And after a 2-hour presentation, I was hooked. I decided right then and there in that very moment that real estate was going to be my thing. And I did something that made my parents really excited. And I went home that day and I said, guess what, Mom and Dad, I'm dropping out of college. And I jumped into real estate. and after influential nudge from an incredibly persuasive late night infomercial, I went into real estate. And I began the way many people do in the educational and training space. And like many, I went to real estate seminar after seminar after seminar, and I bought course after course after course. Now, I know that many of you watching have invested significant amounts of money into your training and your education. Many of you have spent tens of thousands of dollars on training and seminars and classes, but I will go toe-to-toe with any one of you who would like to compare receipts on who has spent more on real estate training and education and masterminds and extended learning and continuing ed credits. I mean, I love learning. But I only like learning about things that are going to move the needle, generate more income. So I like learning about strategy. You know, what if we did it this, what if we did this way? What if we tried it that way? What if we incorporated this thing? So strategy, marketing, and history are my favorite subjects because the best predictor of future performance is past performance. And if we study what happened in the past, it's going to be much easier to predict what's going to be happening in the future. So history is something I really enjoy. But I am proof positive, you guys, that education put into action works. Here's some of our recent projects, okay? Now this is a property that I picked up for 135 grand, put on the market for 199.9 after fixing it up. We were in a contract in 5 days, and profit on this was 21,584. Now, when I show you guys total profit, if you do the math, you're going to go, wait a minute, something's wrong with the total profit here. Here's what you need to understand. When I do a real estate transaction, I'm getting paid multiple ways, okay? Number one, I'm getting paid when I obtain the financing because many of you being certified brokers, you get paid when you arrange financing for another investor, you get paid when you arrange financing on your own deals. So you get paid when you buy, okay? I'm also a licensed bonded contractor. I have a full service construction company. So when I go out and do a full service renovation on a piece of real estate, I'm also going to bill the project my 20% markup as a contractor, okay? I'm also a licensed home stager. We have a full service staging company and we stage all of our houses and we charge the project for our staging services. I'm also a licensed real estate broker. I've been a licensed broker for 20 years. I'm currently with Keller Williams. I've been there for quite some time. And I list all of the properties that we fix and put back on the market. So I'm getting paid when we buy it for arranging the capital. I'm getting paid when we fix it because I'm the contractor. I'm getting paid when we stage it because I'm the staging company. And I'm getting a real estate commission when I sell it. So when I show you guys a $21,000, 584.03 or 08 profit, that is net profit. Now, stack on top of that realtor fees, contractor fees, staging fees, and brokering fees, and you can see that these things become pretty lucrative pretty quickly. Now, what you're looking at here is one of our favorite strategies, which is called wholetailing. Now, wholetailing is any piece of property where the renovation budget is less than $10,000. Because what we've determined is if we can strategically buy properties that fit in a pre-prescribed box of what the market is dying to get, that we can do minimal work, we can be in and out of the property literally within less than 10 days usually, and back on the market and ready for sale within 3 to 4 days, which is pretty fascinating. And that's called wholesaling. So here's a $21,000 profit. Now this was not a wholesale, this was more of a full gut rehab. This house was in pretty rough shape. We picked this one up for $120,000. Put about 50 grand into it, sold it for more than list price for $225,000. Again, after getting paid on all of those other profit verticals, a $25,000 profit. Here's another one. Picked this one up through a sheriff sale. Bought this one for $110,000. Put about 60 grand into it, sold it for $250,000. Total profit on this was $39,522.57, which I split 50-50, so almost $20,000 profit to my partner on this deal, who happened to be one of my clients from the Lee Arnold system of real estate education. Now, many of you are here tonight because I sent an email. I've been sending several emails out that I want you guys to make profits on real estate transactions that I'm doing. So I would like for you to partner with me on deals where you can participate in the profit. And that's what we're here to talk about. I'm going to show you what that looks like and how that works. Here's another piece of property. I picked this one up for about $140,000. Did very little to it. This was a wholesale. Total profit on this one, $21,000. Now, the other thing you guys will notice here is the 100% funding and no money down. One of the things we teach at the Lee Arnold system is how money is attracted to opportunity. And if you guys will invest the time and energy finding really good deals, then funding is not going to be the challenge. And for a lot of investors, that's the problem. That is the one thing that's holding them back. I was on the phone with an investor earlier today out of Pennsylvania, and I said, what's the one thing holding you back? He says, Lee, I've always been worried about where am I going to get the money? As a real estate investor, you guys, you should never concern yourself with where am I going to get the money as much as you should concern yourself with where am I going to get the deal. Because money is attracted to opportunity, and if you will invest the time, energy, and effort to find the opportunity, then money will find you. And that's the issue. A lot of you have been going out in search of the money before you had the deal. And if you don't have a deal, then all of the conversations related to your fundraising efforts are going to be tied to whether or not you're a good investment. Do you have good credit? Do you have any experience? How many houses have you flipped? Do you have a real estate license? Have you been in any classes? What do you know? Do you have any money? When you bring a deal, nobody cares about your credit score. Nobody cares about your bankruptcy, your foreclosure, your divorce. Nobody cares because their money is secured against the real property. So if you are in the midst of a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a divorce, and you are unemployed, and you bring me a deal that is worth $300,000 and you want to borrow 75 grand, guess what? You're getting the loan because that's a good deal. It is a good risk. Now, I am a nationwide private money lender and I manage private equity funds and we have millions of dollars under management. My job is to identify good investment opportunities and deploy capital into those investment opportunities. So our business is unique in that I'm looking for two types of people. I'm looking for people that need money, and I'm looking for people that have money. But what's interesting is that you can be both. And tonight, for the first time in forever, you have the opportunity to be both, because many of you are here and you are still an active real estate investor. But in the next 40 minutes, I'm going to reveal to you how you can be an active investor and a passive investor all at the same time. So you can make money individually on your own deals, but you can also make money passively on all of my deals, which is pretty cool. Because of this kind of success, I created the Lee Arnold system of real estate investing, which is we have nationwide funding tours held in cities across the country every week. We do certification events for those who want to take their business to the next level. We have master trainings for those who want to specialize and make more money. This photo here is one of our master classes. All these people in orange shirts, they have flown up from around the country, and we take them out onto a job site, and they work right alongside of me, this is me right here. Here's our construction manager. This is Ron Brown. This is Kyle, one of our guys. And these are all students. This is Dan. He's one of our construction workers. But these are all students, and we're out there showing them how to invest in real estate the right way, how to use tools appropriately. But the thing that you all need to be aware of, even at our master rehabber class, and I tell people at this class, I said, this is the last time I want to see you on a job site using tools, because you don't get rich below your ears. You get rich above your ears, which means if you're out there manhandling power equipment and paintbrushes, you're not going to be making a whole lot of money because you are doing hourly wage work. And anytime you pick up a paintbrush to paint something, and you could hire somebody to do that at $18, $19, $20 an hour, guess what? In that moment, the value of your time became $18, $19, or $20 an hour. So the most successful real estate investors are the ones who are not on-site manhandling the properties. It's the ones who are orchestrating the entire process. I remember one of the first real estate investment trainings I went to, the speaker gave this analogy, and I never forgot it. And in the analogy, he talked about the symphony. And I'm a big music guy. I love going to the symphony. I love going to Broadway shows, mainly because I love the music. And he says, I want you guys to close your eyes. So all of you close your eyes. He says, now I want you to envision the symphony where you look up on the stage and you've got the strings and you've got the horns and you've got the brass and you've got the drums and you've got all these people. You know, some of these symphonies can have hundreds of musicians in them. And he says, now, of all of those people, you know, you got the horn players over there and the trombone guy and you got the string people doing this. He says, of all those people, who's making the most money? And, you know, we're racking our brains. We're thinking, oh, well, it's got to be the cellist. You know, they're doing this thing. They're amazing. Well, it must be the lead trumpet guy. He says, no, it's the conductor. He says, the guy making the most money is the person standing down on the floor with his back to the audience, waving two sticks. That's the guy. And he is making more money than all of the musicians combined. Why is he making the most? Because he's conducting the talent. Now, I take nothing away from the maestro because that in and of itself is a talent. But like anything else, it's a learned talent, much like real estate investing. It is a learned talent. Nobody was ever born, smacked on the rear by their doctor, handed to their parents, said, congratulations, you're a real estate investor. No, we have to learn how to do it effectively. And so that's what we teach you to do. Additionally, we have one-on-one private consulting for those who want to learn from others' mistakes as opposed to making them personally. Some client success. This is Lowell Yoder. Lowell is even here with us watching tonight. This is what Lowell had to say after attending one of our trainings. He says, after attending the Lee's Inner Circle class, I had no choice but the doing part. I now hold a wholesale check in my hand for $15,000. That took 9.5 hours of my time. I also got a $70,000 profit for a 38-day rehab, and I got an extra $30,000 profit because of the staging and marketing steps I received from Lee. Here are some of Lowell's checks. There's that $15,000 wholesale fee. Another one for $245, $68.33. And these, Lowell, you need to send me some updated checks, dude, because these are a while ago. I see 2017, 18. And I know you've been killing it over there in Oregon, so send me some updates, will you please? This is Rebecca Lynn. She said, even though I'm an experienced investor, Lee Arnold's team taught me many creative strategies to buy properties at a deep discount from pre-foreclosure leads, motivated sellers, foreclosures, and his team emphasized the importance of focusing on high-income generating activities like not painting the house. He also taught me a lot of best practices on how to reduce rehab expenses and create economies of scale in my real estate business by hiring project managers and forming a strong team. Lee's training is very comprehensive and he is always coming up with new systems and ideas to help his clients. At the end, I walk away from his training with new strategies, new ways of thinking to generate more profits and opportunities for my business. Here are some of Rebecca's checks. $41,000, $134,000, $187,000, $192,000. Now, as you guys are looking at your screen, I just want you to think about how could those types of incomes change your current financial situation. Now, let the record reflect that I am not here to sell you real estate investment training and education. I am here to talk to you about participating in all of these people's deals and actually making money because these movers and shakers are out there making stuff happen, like Sheila Wakeman. Sheila says this, since having been trained through the Lee Arnold system of real estate, especially the very valuable Master Rehabber course in this last year, I have in 1 year, at age 74, for the first time in my life, purchased 6 houses to fix and flip. 3 have sold, 2 have contracts on them with closing dates, and the final one is being finished this week and listed on the MLS for sale. Am I proud of myself? You bet. I don't care how old you are here watching this evening. I don't care how young you are here watching this evening. There is an opportunity for you to generate income either actively, going out and doing it yourself, or passively by participating in the other opportunities that those are creating nationwide. This is John Quiet. He said this, after connecting with the Lee Arnold system and Kogo Capital, it became clear that I needed a change to truly succeed. Doing 2 rehabs a year, 99% on my own, and self-finance was not going to allow the growth I needed. Through the knowledge gained, I found private lenders, built an ongoing relationship with a local bank, and have become a licensed realtor in Indiana. I encourage all of my clients to get their real estate license, not because it's a requirement to flip property, but because if you guys are going to do just 10 houses a year, 8 out of every 10 transactions, a real estate agent gets paid. So if 8 out of every 10 deals that you do, somebody else is getting a check, why wouldn't you have that check go to you? So I encourage licensing. I'm with Keller Williams. If you guys decide to get your real estate license, you can hang it with me at Keller Williams. I'd happily be your sponsor. But it gets you into the world of real estate. Remember what I said earlier after reading Kiyosaki's book. If you want to be successful in anything, you must surround yourself with those who are most successful in the field that you want to be in. So surrounding yourself with like-minded, knowledgeable people who have a love for the industry. That's real estate agents. Now, I would caution you that most real estate agents are going to encourage you to focus on selling real estate. That is not what I encourage. So this is not about driving strangers around in your car on a Saturday or a Sunday or meeting strangers at 9 o'clock at night on a Thursday to show them a house. Okay, that is not how we practice real estate as an agent. We merely represent ourselves when we buy and we represent ourselves when we sell. We don't need clients. We don't need listings that aren't ours. We just represent ourselves. And guys, I can't tell you the last time in the last 20 years that I haven't made at least $100,000 in commissions just on my own deals. That's ancillary. That's passive. That is income that was going to happen anyway, just based on the volume that I was doing. So it's not a requirement, but I do encourage it. John took me up on that. He went out and got licensed, and he's glad that he did. He says the rule of 56, when I stuck with it, I still get calls from letters sent 6 months ago. He says, I have upped my game from 2 a year to less than a 17 months. I've sold 8, bought 10, and have 4 properties in various stages. From 2 in a year to, 22 in 17 months. I'd say that's pretty exceptional growth. Here are some of John's checks. Here's one, he got a check for $96,000. Here's another one for $92,000. Here's one for $8,000, and this one, he was really proud of this one because he had to hand the guy a receipt. This is a wholesale deal that he did where he made $10,500 in $100 bills. Wholesale fee, $10,500 in $100 bills. Not too shabby. Norm and Debbie also here on this call with us tonight. Norm and Debbie, this is what they said. We've worked very hard using many strategies learned through the Arnold System real estate investing certifications and master classes we attended in a short period of time between October of 17 and 18. We used different approaches and techniques to complete the deals with Kogo Financing. This allowed Debbie and I to learn the difference between the techniques. We need to note that 3 of the 4 projects under our control were sold using the staging techniques we learned in sessions provided by Michelle Mendez, who is my director of operations. He says, we really believe this staging was instrumental in selling our properties quickly. If you would have asked Debbie and I 2 years ago if we would be selling over $1 million worth of real estate in 1 year, we would have likely said, I don't think so. Thank you for proving us wrong. We are looking at real estate much differently now. Many, many opportunities everywhere. Thank you, Lee Arnold and team. Great job, Norm and Debbie. And then this is Dave Bianco. Dave Bianco, I love this story because I worked with Dave back in 2016 or 17 and hadn't heard from him for a while. And one night I was just cruising through Facebook and I came across this. He said, pleased to announce that Mega Enterprises, that's his company, is celebrating the completion of its 20th rehab flip project today. Dave got his start with us through the Lee Arnold system when he retired from his corporate job. He was wise to invest in the right education. We provided him the tools that he needed. We gave him the funding to do these deals. And now Dave is brokering money. He's got his own construction crew, and he is on fire and killing it. So how do we then add value all the time? Well, over the years of teaching, I realized that education doesn't mean a thing if the person being taught doesn't have the capital to put their knowledge into genuine action. I had access to capital, but my clients didn't. So I took the challenge many of you posed to me at our events, and I created Kogo Capital. where real estate investors could go for unlimited funds for their non-owner occupied investments. Now, guys, I had started investing in real estate back in 1996. And back then I was using private investors. I had a relationship with the pharmacist at my grocery store, so I would have him fund a lot of my early transactions. Then I went on to find more private money investors, institutional investors. And so when you have done a lot of deals, getting people to write you big checks is pretty easy. But if you're new in the space and you've never done a deal and you don't have great credit, you don't have a lot of money laying around, getting somebody to bankroll this business and take stock and trust and faith in your abilities to successfully close a deal, much more difficult to do. Well, I started doing private money loans back in 2004, 2005, 2006. I was doing a lot of private money loans in 2007 and 2008. And then we all know what happened in 2008. And I had built a very large business that very quickly became a very small business and worked through the challenges of that. And I learned a ton from that experience. But more than anything, what I learned is it's really important to work with, rather than being a mile wide and an inch deep, better to be a mile deep and an inch wide, which meant I'm really just looking for a group of motivated, competent, well-trained investors that we can just lend millions and millions and millions of dollars to. And that's why, through the Lee Arnold System of Real Estate Investing, we are always putting on real estate investment seminars and certifications and master level programs, because I'm looking at the people that are going to invest the time to become literally the best of the best, because when they've elevated themselves to this level, I can confidently lend them millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now, that's important for them because through all this training, they have access to all this money. But it's really important to me because I get to look at them and go, wow, look at all they've accomplished. That's awesome. But the most important part, you guys, is that my investors who have entrusted their money to me trust the people that we're lending money to. This is a relationship business. And for those of you that have had a negative experience through this training process, I would venture to guess that the company you were dealing with was more geared to a transactional relationship than they were to an ongoing long-term relationship. Now, the difference is this. A transactional relationship is you give me money, I provide a service, I go away. A relationship business is we work together for as long as we possibly can because our mutual involvement is producing profitability for both parties. So why in the world would we ever want that relationship to come to an end? It's a perpetual, profitable relationship. And that's what we are looking for through this organization, through our relationship with many of you. And I know that many of you even here joining us this evening have been with us for 5 and 10 and 15, some of you even 20 years because of the nature of our business. I want relationships. The reason I come here the first Monday of every month and do this CEO Fireside Chat is just to stay connected with my clients. You guys are important to me. I value you. I value our relationship. And I want to help you make more, be more, have more, if that's what you desire. Because we get more of what we want by helping you get more of what you want. That's the company motto. It's on the wall, all over the building. Example, this is one of our clients, Mr. Robertson. We lent Mr. Robertson $56,000 to buy this house. They bought it for $35,000. They sold it for $98,000. And after 4 offers within 24 hours, they sold it and made $20,000. This was their first flip. Now, how different would you guys view real estate investing if your first transaction produced a $20,000 profit? And I say it that way because I have met tens of thousands of people over the years, you guys. I've been traveling the country and putting on events for 20 years, and I have met a lot of people. And unfortunately, I meet more people who had a negative experience on their first or second or even third flip because they overspent, they didn't manage the budget, their contractor ran off with some of their money, they couldn't sell it for what they thought they could get for it because they underestimated the market or they overestimated the market and it didn't produce what they were expecting, so they ended up losing money in the transaction. Imagine if your first attempt at this business produced a $20,000 profit. I would venture to guess that you would either be more actively engaged in this business or you'd be a little bit further along in your career as it relates to real estate investing. This is Mrs. McGrady. This was a house that we lent them $74,000 on in Niagara Falls, New York. Also their first flip, which is why you see he did most of the rehab himself, which I discourage, but he did it. And you can see he did a good job. Look at the kitchen on the left-hand side, look at the kitchen on the right-hand side, and look at the exterior finished product. $32,000 profit. Now, where would Mrs. McGrady be without Kogo? Where would Mrs. McGrady be without the Arnold system of real estate education? You guys have all been to another real estate education provider. Did you make 32 grand on your first deal? Why not? Because it was a transactional relationship that didn't provide funding. This is one of our favorite clients. This is Miss Williams, Barbara and Luther Williams. We love them. This was a house that she had been running as a rental for 8 years, and she decided, you know what, I'm going to flip this thing and just get it out of my hair. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see the before picture of the kitchen right here. This is the finished product. We lent her $50,000 so she could get the rehab done. She rehabbed it, profited $20,000 on this deal. Now, this is another one of our funded clients. This is a great deal. Check out the left-hand side here. Okay. This was the original house. So what you guys are looking at right here is this interior wall was removed and supported with these two beams, which opened up this entire area. And you can see he just did an amazing job. But we lent him $169,000. He sold it for $276,000, and he made a total profit of 85 grand. Now, here again is where you have one of those aha, come to Jesus moments where you go, $85,000 on a single flip? That's more than I make at my job all year long. Now, others of you here, you have a better job. So you're thinking, $85,000, that's how much I make at my job all year long. Well, what if you just did one flip that made 85 grand? Well, now you made $170,000 in a year. So I'm not here to convince you guys to drop everything and make real estate your thing. I'm simply telling you at some point you need to consider adding it either as a side hustle, another income stream, or for some of you, you're going to have the opportunity to get involved with me in my private equity fund where you'll be the one lending money on all of these deals. And you're getting a portion of the interest on every single loan that we write to our favorites, clients that have been through our real estate investment training. But there was another group of people, and this group of people had the funds, and they aspired to make higher returns on their invested dollar, but they lacked the desire to get involved in real estate at the ground level. And that's why we created Secured Investment Corp, where people could earn a passive income by lending money to real estate investors in two different settings, either through what's called a one-off note or through one of our high-yield funds. Now, are we good to go to the board, Peter? Can I go to the board? Now, for those of you that are watching on GoToWebinar, the audio quality is going to drop out, so I'm going to become more faint. So go ahead and turn up your speakers on your computer because I'm going to walk over to the whiteboard and I'm just going to show you guys a quick example. So again, if you are watching us through GoToWebinar, you can join us on Facebook. So if you go to the Lee Arnold system in Facebook, you can actually watch the webinar that you are right now listening to and hearing so that you can see the example that I'm going to put up on the board. Okay? Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you is what Buck Dietzel does. Okay, Buck Dietzel buys loans from our company. He says this: I've done 40 loans over the course of 4 years. That's 10 loans a year. It averages out to be somewhat more than 12% interest on his money, and you can be as passive or as active as you want to be. So it works out very well no matter where you are in life. This is Rachel Gilmore. She says, my stock and mutual fund account last year earned 4%. My 401k with my employer last year earned 1.2%. And my lender investments through my self-directed IRA earned somewhere between 8 and 10%. Prior to getting involved, I wish I would have known that this opportunity was out there. So let me show you guys what they're doing. Okay? So come over here to the whiteboard with me. Here's how this works. When I lend somebody money, for example, let's say that I'm going to lend you $100,000. Okay? Now, when I lend you $100,000, I'm going to write a rate. Let's just keep the math simple. So I'm going to write you a rate at 10%. Okay? So your monthly payment is going to be about, let's just call it $888. That's your monthly payment. Okay? Now, if this is a 12-month loan, I could lend you $100,000, but that money would be stuck in your deal for 12 months. Now, it's great I'm making a 10% return, but what if I could generate a greater rate of return? What if I could take that loan that we've created and sell it to what we call a one-off buyer? Okay, now I've written the loan at 10%, and I'm going to sell the loan to a one-off buyer at 7%, which is going to create a 3%, what's called a 3% margin here, or a delta, or as many in the industry say, a yield spread premium, or a YSP. Okay, now, if I take $100,000 and I lend it out and write paper at 10% and sell it to a one-off investor at 7%, then I get this $100,000 back, which means I could now originate a new loan with the same $100,000, again, a new note at 10%, sell it to a new one-off buyer, and write the loan over here and sell it at 7%, lock up another 3% yield, and just keep doing this. Now, this is what we as a company have been doing now for over a decade. We originate paper, and then we sell the loan. Now, we had been originating paper in a Reg D fund, and I'm going to talk about this here in just a moment. But the Reg D fund was a $50,000 minimum, and it required you to be an accredited investor. However, you did not have to be an accredited investor to buy the one-off paper. Okay? Now, if we do this the right way, I should be able to take this $100,000 and do this times 9. Now, if I can take that same $100,000 and produce a 3% annualized yield, I'm going to create 27% of marginal interest on $100,000. 27% on $100,000, you guys, is $27,000. Simply by using this liquidity to write paper, which becomes a sellable asset that investors want to buy in their self-directed IRA accounts, their 401k accounts, because the loan's already been originated. We order the appraisal, we underwrite the file, we vet the borrower, we collect all the payments, we do all the internal servicing, we do everything. So when you come to my office and say, hey Lee, I want to buy one of your notes, I simply say, great. We fill out an assignment form, I transfer the servicing over to you, and instead of me collecting the check when it comes in, I'm going to send a check to you, or I'm going to send it to your private equity or to your self-directed IRA account, to your trustee, to your stock advisor, to your financial advisor. I'll cut that check to them, but I will continue to service the loan and just send you your 7% cut of the 10% note. And then I keep the middle. Now, the reason this works so well, I have as much interest in the note performing as you do. Because if the note doesn't perform, I don't get my 3% either. So again, this goes back to the relational nature of the kind of relationships I'm looking for. I want us both to win. And this is what's called a one-off note. Okay? This is also what Ron Schoenberger has done. Ron Schoenberger says this, I have done 44 loans. He says my return is about 12.5% to 13%. He says I have about $1 million that makes me $125,000 to $135,000 a year. I would encourage people, if they have the resources and extra funds, to invest. I've been investing for the past 20 years in private money loans, and I've been very happy with the results. Now, I want you guys to think about that, okay? Many of us have a financial advisor who has told us the same old sorry lie that, you know, to have the same lifestyle that you have in retirement that you currently have working full time, you need to have at least $4.5 million producing 4% income to live the same life you've come accustomed to. You know what? Forget that. It takes a long time to create $4.5 million. Why don't create $1 million? And let's just invest it wisely. Let's put it into things that produce 12.5% and 13% yields, because that $1 million becomes $130,000 a year in passive income without you taking on any liability of owning real estate, of having to make payments, of having to worry about tenants and toilets and evictions and turning and painting and utilities. And there is nothing passive about real estate investing if you are the one buying it, fixing it, selling it, managing it, renting it, owning it. There's nothing passive about it. It is a full-time job. Whether you do it yourself or you outsource it to a property management company, it's not passive. Note investing is pretty passive because you're simply lending money to somebody else that is going to perform, hopefully. And therein lies the secret sauce, is knowing how to underwrite the file successfully to ensure as much as you can. And certainly there's going to be defaults, there's going to be foreclosures. But the lower you can get the defaults and the foreclosures, the higher your yields remain. And over the years, we've gotten really, really good at this. This is Sam Gerber. She says, the return on my investment is 10%, which is a lot better than the stock portfolio that I have. This is Jack Carroll. He says, I think my average return is around 11.5%. Real estate loans have been wonderful for me and my family over the last 20 years. Just a little bit of common sense. And it's really easy, and you can make pretty good money at it. You guys, this is where the Circle of Wealth comes in. Through the Circle of Wealth philosophy, we provide access to services and resources necessary to achieve and further your financial freedom through real estate. And this picture that you guys are looking at, this is a picture of the Coeur d'Alene Lake and the Coeur d'Alene Resort Marina. This location is right now about 4 blocks from where I'm standing. So for those of you that are watching us live, just over, you can see it right through that maple tree there. That is the Coeur d'Alene Lake. So for those of you that come up for our master classes, or those of you that think you might want to invest with us and come check out our operation, come on by. We'll take you down to the marina and have some lunch. But there was a hitch. Here's the hitch. Only accredited investors could get involved in this part of the Circle of Wealth. Now, who is an accredited investor, you ask? Well, according to the SEC, an accredited investor is defined as a natural person with income exceeding $200,000 in each of the 2 most recent years of joint income with a spouse exceeding $300,000 for those years and a reasonable expectation of the same income level in the current year. So if you have made over $200,000 in taxable income over the last 2 years, with every expectation to do it again as a single person, you're accredited. If you are married between you and your spouse, you need to be claiming at least $300,000 combined income to be considered accredited. Or a natural person who has individual net worth or joint net worth with the person's spouse that exceeds $1 million at the time of the purchase, excluding the value of the primary residence of such person. So you have good jobs, you make $120,000 a year, which does not qualify you as accredited. However, you've got $1.5 million in equity against your portfolio, your stock balance, your 401k. Between all of those accounts, you've got at least $1 million. Now, some of you own your home free and clear, and your home is worth $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, but it's free and clear. So you can't count equity in your primary residence. However, if you got a loan against your primary residence for $500,000 and made it liquid, guess what? You're suddenly accredited. Isn't that interesting? So what this means is that it takes money to make money. And accredited investors have more opportunities to do so than non-accredited investors. Once again, right, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, how does one go from being poor to being rich? There has to be opportunities. And this is one of the great things that came out of the recessionary downturn of 2008. You know, one thing that my coach recently said to me, he says, Lee, don't miss out. He says, don't lose sight of the opportunities that come with a crisis. Don't waste a good crisis. And what came out of 2008 was an opportunity for non-accredited investors to participate in a fund environment without having to be accredited. So what if you could get to passive investor status faster? Would that be helpful for you? But first, is this really the right time for this? You know, a lot of people are worried about where is the market? Where is this thing going to end up? How's it all going to finish out? A lot of uncertainty in the market. So how does this thing end? Well, let's talk about it. Let's address the pink elephant in the room, shall we? Is this really the right time? What about the recession? Well, check this out. From 1980 to 2015, the red line represents pretty consistent, steady growth. You guys see that? Above that is what's happened within the real estate market. So the real estate market does not lose value in a recessionary downturn. It certainly gets close to the line, but people have to live somewhere. This slide's even more interesting. Historically, the housing market is relatively stable during a recession. And since 1980, there have been 5 official recessions in the United States. In all but the 2008 financial crisis, inflation-adjusted home prices only declined an average of 2.7% from the month before the recession began to the final month of the recession. In 2001, recessionary home prices actually increased 4%. In 2001, home values went up even in the midst of September 11th, 2001, the attack on the World Trade Centers. Real estate values still went up. Real estate can make a great asset to hold during recessions with far less volatility and losses than stocks and other paper assets. Now, I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett. I'm a big fan of Berkshire Hathaway. I have Warren Buffett's big book called Letters to His Investors. Every year, every quarter, Warren Buffett writes a letter to his investors in his Berkshire Hathaway stocks. And you can buy the book. It's about this thick, it's big, it's yellow, and it's every letter that he's ever written. And what is interesting is in one of his letters, he points to the stock market and he says, if you will take a 10-year slider, right, and take any 10 years in the stock market cycle and slide it back and forth anywhere you want, going back to inception to present day, any 10 years, you're going to see a 4% growth. in 10 years. But he says if you take that same slider and you do the exact same thing by buying and holding real estate, you're going to see increases of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, and in some cases higher growth depending on where you're buying. Which tells me real estate is still, even in the midst of a crisis, it is still one of the safest, most reliable investments on the planet. But the reason that many people don't invest in it is because it's a lot of work. And we all know that it's a lot of work. And those of you that don't have your money in real estate, you don't have it there because you don't want to do the work. But what if you could have the upside of real estate without any of the work of real estate and your risk was even dealt with? Would that be helpful? Only 21% of Americans think stocks or mutual funds are the best long-term investment. Down 6 points from 2019, which is the lowest percentage recorded by Gallup since 2012. 21% of Americans think stocks or mutual funds are the best long-term investment. 35% of Americans say real estate is the most favored long-term investment, which has been the case since 2013. Over 1/3 of Americans have named real estate as the top investment since 2016. And they're right. Check this out. As of December, private real estate funds focusing on opportunistic and distressed asset investments held $142 billion in dry powder, according to Preqin. Now, I want you guys to write down dry powder and $142 million, okay? $142 billion, that's a fair amount of money. But dry powder, you guys, is money that is sitting on the sidelines. It is money that sits in bank accounts, trust accounts, retirement accounts, that is undeployed. And the reason that it's undeployed is because it doesn't know where to go. It doesn't have anywhere to go. Money does not like sitting on the sidelines. However, in a supposed recessionary downturn, the smart players will stockpile money on the sidelines in anticipation of a windfall where whatever the fear or the pandemic is in the moment, and there's always one, when that subsides, you're going to see a huge uptick, and that $142 billion in dry powder is going to come flooding into the marketplace. Question is, will it flood to you, or will it flood to somebody other than you? Remember, money is attracted to opportunity, not people. As the coronavirus crisis sends property values tumbling, real estate investors sense an even greater buying opportunity than the 2008 financial crisis. Early data from the National Association of Realtors shows that far more buyers have withdrawn from the market than sellers. 48% of realtors reported buyers pulling back, while only 16% of sellers said they wanted to pull their listings. Now, guys, I can tell you from the beginning of COVID-19 to what now appears to be coming down the other side, the curve is flattening, states are beginning to open back up. I will tell you that I have not skipped a beat. We did not stop buying, we did not stop selling, we did not stop working on property. Now, praise the Lord, every aspect of our business has been deemed essential, because we are in the people service business through our training and education. We are in the money management and banking service because of our lending and our servicing company. And because we have properties that are in dilapidated condition, our construction crews were allowed to continue to work because it wasn't new construction. So praise the Lord, every aspect of our business was deemed essential. And we have been working this entire time. Now, about half our staff is currently working from home, which we support and encourage, but we've been going the whole time. And we have seen some of the most robust sales aggression from agents, from buyers, just in the last 2 weeks. And this just came out on a report from the NAR just this afternoon. In the second half of April, new home buying doubled from buyers under the age of 30. Now, this is really interesting because buyers under the age of 30, those that we affectionately refer to as our millennial generation, Up until coronavirus, they were convinced that apartment living and co-op dwelling was the creme de la creme. But in a COVID-19 pandemic where they have now been shut in with all of these people, not knowing who may or may not be a carrier, they've decided that having your own home, your own place where you can escape, is highly valued. Our millennials are jumping into the real estate market with such aggression and gusto that we don't have enough inventory. We don't have enough housing stock to keep up with their buying trends, which is why real estate values continue to climb even in the midst of COVID. Now, many of you are arguing to your computer screen and saying, that's not right, that's not right, that's not what the news said. Guys, the news exists to sell commercials. And the way that they sell commercials for a lot of money is by having a lot of eyeballs. And the way they get a lot of eyeballs is through what we call fear-mongering and fake news. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched the news. I don't have television at my house. I don't watch the news. I don't stream CSN, MSN, Fox. I don't stream any of it. I read one letter called the Kiplinger letter. That's where I get my news. And outside of that, I don't care what the media has to say because it does not match what's really happening in the real world. You know, it was George W. Bush who said, stop worrying about what's going on in the White House and start worrying about what's going on in your own house. And that was really smart because he's right. You know, let's stop worrying about what's going on, global pandemic, right? What's going on in your house? What's going on in your market? What's going on in your world? What's going on with you financially? Let's focus on that because I can assure you, you guys, that the market is ripe, it's prime, it's exciting, it's on fire, and if there's ever been a time to engage aggressively, it's now. Housing markets are already seeing the balance between supply and demand tilt dramatically to favor buyers. Demand is disappearing while supply is remaining relatively stable. On top of this, many real estate market fundamentals are strong. Real estate experts say with mortgage rates hovering at record lows, the average for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3.33% the week ending April 23rd. 2 weeks ago, 3.33% average rate, which means now is a prime opportunity to lock in a cheap mortgage rate and buy a home, says Frank Nothraft, chief economist at CoreLogic. Guys, if you have kids that are college age, millennials, many of you have children still living in your basement. If there has ever been an opportunity to get them out, it is now. Get them into real estate, get them into a 30-year loan. You can now buy real estate cheaper than you can afford rent in most metro markets across the US because interest rates are so incredibly low. The challenge is just finding housing stock that you can buy. Pending home sales went up 6.2% in the week ending April 19th. Sales are up. And after falling for 5 weeks, mortgage applications rose 12% for the week ending April 24th, compared with the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Kogo Capital, our own company in-house, is also seeing more borrowers seeking loans, and our funds are still funding loans for real estate investors. So how can you cash in on this opportunity, right? Every good presentation have facts, but eventually you got to get to the what's in it for me portion. Well, here's what's in it for you, okay? Through the Circle of Wealth Fund 3, as I mentioned, we opened Fund 1 in 13, closed in 18, opened Fund 14. It was a 5-year fund. We amended it in 19 to be a perpetual fund, which means it can continue to go. I'm running out of power, Peter, on this computer, okay? And then we opened in 2019 the Circle of Wealth Fund 3, and that was August of 2019. Now, what we need to do in the 12 months since opening last August is we need to raise $50 million. And we are getting very close to now August, and so we are doing a final push to allow you to still participate in Fund 3. Now, why did we open Fund 3? Because it allows us to raise money from anyone, not just accredited investors. It offers clients a financial stake and rewards early adopters for the role they play in the fund's growth. It allows clients who were once unable to participate the ability to earn passive returns on their dollars, and it expands real estate entrepreneurs' access to capital so that we can continue to fund more deals more often. Now, I'm going to spend the next, let's call it 11 minutes, showing you all of the reasons why we are, in my opinion, one of the best private equity fund managers on the planet, and why every single one of you should be giving us all of your money to manage, okay? However, what I want from every single one of you watching this right now is I want you to go to the leearnoldsystem.com/May, and I want you to simply fill out the form that is there. This is not committing you to invest any money at all. This is merely saying, hey, this sounds kind of cool, pretty interesting. I'd like to get more information from this company about this fund. That's all you're doing. So go to leearnoldsystem.com/May. Now, when you get there, it's going to ask for your name, your email, your phone number, which if you're watching this presentation, I already have your name, email, and phone number. So you don't need to worry about, ooh, I'm giving them my information. I already have your information. But I do need you to put it into that format so that I have it that you're interested in information about Fund 3. Now, there's also a slider at the bottom, and it says, I'd be interested in investing $1,000, and you can slide it over to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, okay? I want every single one of you watching right now to invest at least $1,000. Just give me $1,000. Let me show you what I can do, okay? A $1,000 investment is going to get you into a nationwide private money investment fund that lends money to real estate investors who have been vetted by us on deals underwritten by us and serviced and managed by us. Now, to me, one of the most important and exciting aspects of the Private Equity Fund 3 is that a lot of you, you're busy professionals. You are working 50 hours a week at your job. You have a desire to invest in real estate, but you don't have the time. And you keep saying things like, I will, or when I retire, or if I ever get a chance, or on my next break. Guys, for $1,000 investment, you can be investing in every loan that we originate nationwide. You can be investing in properties that we are buying, fixing, and flipping right here in my own local market. We do not flip houses with fund investors' dollars outside of the Spokane County, Spokane, Washington market, so that I can personally manage and oversee every piece of real estate that we invest money into. Now, we lend nationwide, we order appraisals, we get title, we get insurance. We have a default rate on our portfolio of less than 4%, which is unheard of in the private money space. But for a $1,000 investment, you guys, you can be in the business that you have been talking to friends and family about for years. So this is a tremendous opportunity for you to get involved without actually getting involved. Now, for others of you, you're already involved. This is your opportunity to diversify, okay? Many of you, like me, you have a self-directed IRA account which does not allow you to invest in certain projects because it's considered self-dealing. Well, guess what? You can invest your entire self-directed IRA account balance into the Circle of Wealth Fund 3. 401ks, did you know that in the midst of this COVID crisis, you can now withdraw up to $100,000 of your corporate-sponsored 401k plan without penalty, as long as you repay it within 36 months? Why not take $100,000 out of the 401k, which I don't know if you've noticed lately has been on a decline, and put it into Fund 3, where we have seen numbers on an incline? And I'm going to show you some stats here in just a moment. But leearnoldsystem.com/May, I want you to remember it. Go ahead and open up another window, another browser, and just put it in there. Don't get distracted. Keep listening to what I'm saying. Keep watching my slides, but I want you all to go to that link. Now, our experience, the best predictor of future performance is indeed past performance. So why should you get involved in a fund? Well, it's not correlated to the stock market. No management responsibility, we do everything. Cash flow, we cut checks every month, so there are monthly payouts in Fund 3. Protective equity provides shield against market volatility. Investment diversification, because we lend to multiple investors portfolio-wide. We have hundreds and thousands of clients that we lend money to all over the nation. And we flip hundreds of homes. Tax advantage strategies available, like doing it through your self-directed IRA. Gives you the ability to invest in real estate without the hassles of being a landlord. Alignment between the investor and the fund manager. Fund manager doesn't make money unless the investor makes money. And I'll show you guys that structure here in just a moment, because the way we are structured, you, the investor, get what's called a pref, or a preferred rate of return of 6%. So you get a preferred rate of return of 6%, and then we split the surplus, which means if I don't perform better than 6%, I don't make any money. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I don't like working for free. I have a strong aversion to it. I think I get a rash if I work for free. So if we're not producing at least 6%, there's no upside. If there's no upside, there's nothing for us to split, and that makes me unhappy. Ability to keep IRA funds fully deployed for longer periods of time without being in a single asset or asset class, loans, flipping, cash flow properties. Many of you have a self-directed IRA and you seeded it 3 or 4 years ago, which means you only have a small balance in there. You've got $3,000, maybe $4,000 in that self-directed IRA that you started with Equity Trust or the iPlan Group or Mountain West IRA, or pick one. With a self-directed IRA, the maximum investment annually is $5,500 unless you're over the age of 52. Then you do a catch-up for another $1,000 to $6,500. And it has to be post-tax contribution. Now, a lot of people don't have an extra $6,500 a year post-tax laying around. So seeding those IRAs becomes challenging, and because of that, many of you have small balances in your IRAs. And how do you invest $3,000 or $4,000 into a real estate transaction? You don't. So many of you here watching, I bet you there are millions of dollars just from those of you viewing this presentation sitting in small balance self-directed IRAs because you don't have anywhere to put it. Some of you have, like me, you have CISA accounts, Coverdale Education Savings accounts for your kids. You can only put $2,000 a year into those things. Small balance IRAs are a perfect way to seed this. You can put $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. The minimum investment here, you guys, is $1,000, and you don't have to be accredited. So I would take all of your piggy bank change in all of your small balance little investments, that 401k plan you had at the job you worked out 20 years ago, and they keep sending you a statement every quarter showing that you made $3.89 on $2,200. Cash that out. Put it in this fund. That's a much better use of proceeds, in my opinion. Now, it should be stated at this point, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney. Therefore, everything I'm telling you is my opinion. But don't take my word for it, right? Let facts be the proof. So here's our performance compared to all of the other private equity funds that are out there. Now you can see a 1-year treasury, we beat it. The mortgage REIT, we beat it. iShares Mortgage Real Estate, we beat them. Vanguard, we beat them. Vanguard REIT Index, beat them. Blackstone, we beat them. Secured Investment High Yield Fund 2 has a IRR, that's an internal rate of return of 12.26%. 12.26% internal rate of return. Check out this slide. How do we compare against the S&P 500? Well, as you can see, while the S&P 500 has been dancing around looking like a very healthy heartbeat, Secured Investment High Yield Fund, we're not creating mountains and we're not creating caters. We are just steady and we are consistent. 2014, 9.25, 2015, 12, 2016, 14, 2017, 11, 2018, 12. Our blended rates, you guys, are double-digit returns. Show me any investment you've got where you're getting consistent double-digit annualized rates of returns. Now, how does this compare to a savings account? Let's say you have $1,000 in the bank and the account earns 1% interest. Simple interest, $1,000 at 1% per year would yield $1,010 at the end of the year. 1%. So your $1,000 is making $10. That's not right. It's making $1. 1% on 1,000 is $1. Compounding interest. No, I'm sorry, it is 10. With daily compounding, every day the amount that earns interest grows by another 1/365th of 1% at the end of the year. The deposit has grown to $1,010.19. Sounds very exciting, doesn't it? If you put $1,000 in a CD, generating 1.6% for a year, you're going to make $16 on that investment. Capital One, they're offering 1.5 for a one-year CD, making $15 per thousand. Discover, $15 per thousand. Here are some other U.S. savings rates where your yields are 11, 0.12, 0.19. You can tell they're all less than $1. Here's a U.S. savings bond rate at 30-year where you get a 1.25% yield, so that's pretty exciting. Or the stock market, where, you know, in 2015 we were sitting at sub 18,000, then it jumped way up. We were at 29,000 post-COVID, and then it dropped down into the 19,000 range March, April. Many of us, our 401k became a 41k. Now, certainly it's climbing and going back up, but guys, right now you can pull up to $100,000 out of that company-sponsored 401k, and you can diversify that thing. So why not put it into our fund for 24 months, 36 months? Let us outperform the S&P, and then in 3 years when you got to pay it back, withdraw it out of our fund and put it back into your company-sponsored 401k. No penalty. That makes a lot of sense to me, don't you? That makes sense. What we offer you is a tangible asset. In the stock market, you don't have anything tangible. If we had a down cycle, your profits are instantly lost in the stock market. With us, a down cycle simply means we go from being a manager of debt to being a manager of property. What do you call a stockbroker in a recessionary downturn? Waiter. What do you call a private equity fund manager in a recessionary downturn? Landlord. Because guys, the type of deals that we are investing in, single-family, freestanding, stick-built homes, for the amounts that we're lending, if that borrower doesn't pay us back, we just turn around and put the property out for rent. And now that cash flow becomes your return. It's very hard for us to have a fluctuation so great that you're not getting your yields. Leverage. You invest your retirement savings or hard-earned cash on hand. And taxes, if you purchase $50,000 and it's now worth $200,000, you pay taxes on that amount when you sell it. Now, all of these low-risk investments are available to all non-accredited investors. Savings accounts, savings bonds, certificates of deposits, money market funds, treasury bills, notes, bonds, tips, corporate bonds, dividend-paying stocks, preferred stock, and they all represent little to no risk because they represent little to no return. However, check out our returns, you guys. Now, this graph is based on Secured Investment High Yield Fund 2 performance. Actual results may differ depending on market conditions, including prevailing interest rates, real estate fundamentals, demand for financing for borrowers, competition for other bridge lenders. But as I've said, the best predictor of future performance is past performance. So let me show you our past. Over the past 6 years, you guys, we have been averaging blended rates north of 11% for 6, 7, 8 years. And everything points that we will continue to do that in the future because we're not getting smaller. Our company is growing. We're not funding less loans. We're funding more loans. We're not buying less real estate. We're buying more real estate. And every dollar you invest is a dollar that we are going to take and treat it just like our own and manage it as our own and invest it as our own because we only make money when we produce 6% pref to you and then we split the upside. And again, I want to make money. So if I can produce for you, and guys, keep in mind here, the returns that I'm showing you, this is the return to the investor. This is not the total yield. This is the return to the investor. Do you think our investors loved us in 2016? Yeah. Do you think they love us in 17? Yeah. Do you think they loved us in 18? Yeah. For the person that invested $1 million with us back in 2014, in 2014 they made $92,500 on their million. In 2015 they made $118,200 on their million. In 2016 they made $144,400 on their million. In 2017, they made $110,600 on their million. In 2018, they made $122,600 on their million. We have investors with money in our funds that are retired because of our funds. I would like to work that hard for you. And that's why I am asking that you entrust me and our company with your money, because I want to manage it for you. I believe that I've been a good steward of my other investors' money, and I believe I will continue to be a good steward for you and your money. Check out this graph. Preferred rate, boop, across the top. There you can see it bouncing around of the actual. Now you'll notice that the blue line, okay, the blue line is the line where I make money. What color is that? Brown? The brown line is your money. The blue line is our collective money. You will notice that the blue line never dips below the brown line, because when the blue line dips below the brown line, I don't get paid, and I don't like not getting paid. So you can see very consistent returns, because we are an aggressive yet conservative lender, investor, money manager. I don't put money into investments that I don't understand. I don't put money into investments that I wouldn't personally invest in, because I've got to produce for you or it doesn't produce for me. That's why this works. Guys, Secured Investment Corp, the circle of wealth, every aspect of our business is tied to making money together. Now, your stockbroker, he or she still got paid last quarter when your 401k took a dive, didn't they? In a fund environment, if this thing takes a dive, I don't make any upside. That doesn't work for me. You make money, I make money, or we don't make money. I don't get paid based on failure. I only get paid based on success. Circle of Wealth Fund 3 is unique. We share the increase with our fund members. So how is income produced in the Circle of Wealth Fund 3? Well, first of all, we make money from the sale of property held by fund premiums received on the sale of third-party notes. Or can I go back to the board over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Come over here to the board with me, you guys. I showed you this, okay? Now, if you have $100,000 in the fund, if you have $1,000 in the fund, when I originate a loan out of the fund. This fund money, so this would be a Fund 3 origination. Somebody calls my office and they want to borrow 100 grand. I'm going to take 100 grand out of Fund 3. I'm going to lend it to this borrower and I'm going to create a note. I'm then going to sell that note to a one-off investor. Now, guys, we have people that have money in Fund 2, we have people that have money in Fund 3, and we have people that buy our notes because they want to be diversified, and that's cool. So if that's you, you can have $1,000 in Fund 3, we can fund the loan, and then we can sell you the loan to earn 7% where you're the whole investor in this deal. But what Fund 3 does is it originates the paper, sells the paper, retains the 3% margin, gets the $100,000 back, originates a new loan, writes it at 10, sells it at 7, creates a yield spread of 3, keeps it, gets the $100,000 back, and keeps doing it. And right now, you guys, we're churning the same dollar on average about 9 times annually, which is how we get to a 27% margin. Now, I didn't show you any returns where the payout was 27%. So forget that. But what this 27% does is it covers defaults, loan payments, default payments, costs of management, fund fees, accounting, auditing. All of our funds are audited by a third party. And after all of these yields, it blends down where we are earning, and like I said, those returns I'm showing you, 12 and 13 and 14, the payouts to the investors. For us to pay those out, we have to be producing 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20% returns in the fund to pay that out to our investors. That's what makes this so exciting, is we're taking the same dollar and we're reproducing profit with the same dollar over and over and over and over again. We are one of the only funds in the entire United States of America that operates this way. And I know that because the The auditing company that audits our private equity fund, when we first showed them our model 7 years ago, they looked at it and said, wow, this is really cool. We've never seen anything like this. We said, we know, shh, don't tell anybody. So let's just keep this between you and I. We don't need our competitors seeing what we're doing, okay? But this is how we originate these yields, is we're taking the same dollar and we're just producing new paper with that same dollar through origination, okay? So we generate income through the sale of notes. We also get paid points on the origination of private money loans. So in addition to lending the $100,000, we also charge origination fees, and the fund obtains 20% of those origination fees. So if the fund charges 5 points on a $100,000 loan, it's going to get $1,000 that goes to the fund's returns for that month. Again, on all loans that the fund is carrying, where if I write a loan and originate it at 10%, but I haven't sold it yet, the fund is earning the 10% on its money while that loan sits in the fund's ownership. And then when the fund sells that loan off, it retains that yield spread. But the fund is earning interest whether it holds the loan or sells the loan. So there's no idle fees, there's no idle dollars. We deploy those things as soon as they come in. And then, as I mentioned and showed you guys, the interest spread on notes sold to third parties out of the fund. Now, this is why, you guys, I want every single one of you right now to go to leearnoldsystem.com/May. I'm not selling you anything, you guys. I'm saying give me $1,000 and let me show you what we can do. I want to manage your $1,000. Because we have clients that started with just a little tiny seed because, like you, they were sitting there going, gee, you know, it sounds good. I don't know if I like that guy, but this sounds good. But you know what? Let me just put in a little bit. Let me see if they can do what they say they're going to do with just a little bit. Perfect. Guys, test and measure. I mean, Ronald Reagan said, trust but verify. Now, you want to write me a check for $1 million? Cool, I'll take your $1 million. But for every single one of you, do not get off this webinar without at least investing $1,000. That'll allow you to see our monthly reporting. You can see how everything works. You can go through the process of depositing money. And if you are like most of our investors, your little tiny seed is going to go from 1,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 to 100,000. I mean, we have investors with us that have over $1 million currently invested with us, and they started with just a little tiny investment. And they've been with us 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But when you guys consider the consistency of the returns that we have been producing, why in the world would you put your money anywhere else? Better yet, why would you ever take your money out of our fund to go do anything else? Seriously. So, I want every single one of you watching right now to invest $1,000. And this is an investment. So you read through the fund disclosure documents, you can see that at any time you can get your $1,000 out of the fund. So this is not a sunk investment, you guys. This is $1,000. I'm going to put it to work. I'm going to lend it to your peers. I'm going to lend it to people that come through our education training. I'm going to make it available to the certified brokers that we just graduated who are going to be bringing us borrowers. And we're going to get that money on the streets. And your $1,000 and the other 100 people or 1,000 people that are watching this presentation right now, their $1,000 is going to be paired with your $1,000 and this $1,000 and this $1,000 and this $1,000. And before you know it, we've got 100 grand, we got $250,000, we got $1 million, we got 10 million. And collectively, together, through the strength of the fund, we're making money together. And that's why this is so exciting. Isn't this fun? I think this is the coolest thing ever. So, targeted opportunities. Residential and commercial loans. These are loans that require quick closings that banks cannot fund. Borrowers will include real estate investors who seek to purchase and renovate investment properties for the purpose of selling such properties. Some borrowers may include real estate investors who are part of the Lee Arnold system of real estate investing training. The asset classes, loans will be secured by non-owner occupied single-family residential properties, multifamily properties, and commercial properties. The company may also consider funding construction loans, which we have done and will continue to do. Loans secured by non-owner occupied single-family, multifamily, and commercial properties. The company will seek to acquire non-owner occupied real estate on an opportunistic basis. Such properties may be remodeled and subsequently leased and or sold, thus providing an additional source of income to the company. Guys, today, we accepted an offer today on a house that was purchased with the fund for $249,000. We bought that house a year ago for $152,000. The profit on that thing after expenses and re-up costs and everything else is almost $70,000. That's one house. And guess where that $70,000 goes? It goes to the fund members. When I flip houses, if you're in this fund, you benefit. When I originate papers in this fund, you benefit. When I sell a loan in this fund to another investor and create yield spread, you benefit. Everything that we do within inside these walls here at Secured Investment Corp through Fund 3, you benefit. Whether you are a seasoned investor, a brand new investor, an uninterested investor, every single one of you right now can participate for just $1,000. No accreditation, no $50,000 minimums, no $1 million in investable assets. Every single person. You can all scrape together $1,000. I mean, shoot, some of you just had the federal government send you $1,200. Put that in there. Invest that. Every one of you has at least $1,000 laying around somewhere. Wherever you're sitting right now, stand up, look under the couch, look under the cushion. $1,000 right there, okay? And I don't mean to minimize this, but I don't want you guys to overthink it. It's $1,000. Put it into this fund. Let me show you what we can do. And if you like the results, you can put in $2,000. Let me show you what we can do with $2,000. If you like the results, put in $5,000. And let's grow this thing together. So what this historically looks like. Again, the best predictor of future performance is past performance. Loans held in detail. This is the diversity and allocation. So if you look at Q4 of 2014, 13 loans, 10 loans, 18 loans, 58 loans, 72 loans, 67 loans, 57 loans. This is just in Fund 2. And look at the diversification, okay? The colors indicate where in the region these loans are being placed. And we want to have a nice blended portfolio so that we don't have any one area that we have a higher risk profile than in another. So we like to be pretty diversified. One of the advantages that we have as a company by being in the education training space is we put on real estate investment seminars nationwide. And so we meet a new group of 100 investors every single weekend in multiple markets all over the US. They're the ones that are coming to us and getting funding. They're the ones we're lending money to. And then you can see that we diversify by asset type. So loans held, B pieces where we'll carry back a junior position on a great first position, properties that we hold and acquire, the origination fees, loans held interest, loans sold interest, property sales, so many different income streams from this type of an investment. This is so much more exciting than just handing money to your HR department at your company's 401k, isn't it? I mean, you're actively engaged. Every month you're going to get a report that shows where we lent money, which houses we bought. Wouldn't that be fun? I mean, think about the dinner conversation you can have then. Hey, flipped another house today. Really? How'd you do that? Well, I'm a pretty shrewd investor. I just bought a house for $152 and we sold it for $250. So yeah, the company I'm part of, we made 70 grand on that thing. Investment property portfolio. Here, I mean right here, you can see these are houses. So you guys will see all of the houses that we're buying. You can see when we buy them. You can see when we sell them, how much we buy them for, how much we sell them for, how much we rehab them for. Look at this. Blended return on investment, 40.03%. And the average days held on our investment portfolio, we are in and out of our properties on an average of 138 days. That's just a little bit over 4 months, you guys. We are incredibly exceptional real estate investors because we've been doing it for a long time. So I've taken 25 years of my personal experience to invest in real estate, and I've poured myself into managing your guys' money to produce deals like this. This was a fund house that we picked up. We bought it for $117,500. We put 28 grand into it. Now, I'm a licensed bonded contractor, so I'm overseeing the construction. I manage the project managers. We meet every Tuesday to go over fund investments, the monies we're investing into them, the work that's being done, how much we're selling these for. This one we held for 142 days. Made a 36% ROI on that house. In just 65 days, we were in and out of that. I'm sorry, 142 days, we were in and out of that. This one, we were in and out of 65 days. Bought it for 105, sold it for 150. We were in and out 13% return in 65 days. First lien promissory note. Here's one that we originated. We lent $183,000 on this deal. We wrote the loan at 13.5, sold it for 11.5, so we made an annualized increase of 2% on this property in Port Ludlow, Florida, or in Port Ludlow, Washington, and then it's paid off. So that $183,000 comes back in. Investor sold it for $325,000, and we made a really nice rate of return on that deal. Here's another loan, ACR Restoration. We lent them $68,000. We made a 4% spread on that. We wrote the paper at 12, or we wrote the paper at 16, sold it at 12. So we made a 4% return on that. Investor bought it for 68, sold it for 179.5. So the investor made a lot of money. Now, for those of you that are going, okay, well, Lee, what about defaults? What happens when you write a loan and the borrower stops paying? Then what? Well, a loan well underwritten is a loan half collected. So within our underwriting departments, through our processing process, we are really good underwriters. And if you underwrite a file correctly, even in a default, the upside can be really strong. Now, does that mean we never lose money on a deal? Sure, we're going to lose money on a deal. You can't invest without having some losses. But the rule of business, this comes from Warren Buffett, very profound. The rule of business, make more than you lose. Brilliant. Warren Buffett, well, multi-billionaire, make more than you lose. And what he means in that statement is, guys, losing is a part of the process. You can't be right 100% of the time, and we can't make money every time. There's going to be some dogs, there's going to be some losers. But if we can make more than we lose, then you and all of our investors still do very well. So here's one that was a loser, right? We wrote it for 110, guy defaults, so we take it to foreclosure. It sells for 142,000, and you can see down here that after everything, we made a net profit from the sale of this house at the auction of 21,000. After everything was said and done, we still made a 17.68% return on a house that the homeowner defaulted, or the investor defaulted. So we lent 110, took it to auction because he didn't pay us. And here's the other cool thing, you guys. When your money is in our fund and that homeowner defaults, you don't need to call and demand payment. You don't need to contact a lawyer and start a lengthy collection or eviction process. We are the fund manager. We take care of all of that stuff for you, so you don't have to do it. So you have experts and professionals managing your money in the real estate space, both regionally and nationally, while you go to work, while you go to sleep, while you go to your job, whatever you do, we manage your money. And we are actively buying and selling real estate, and we are actively lending money. We get over 2,000 requests for funding a week in this company. 2,000 requests for funding a week. Now, you want to go out and lend your own money? Well, Lee, you know, this all sounds pretty good. I think I'll just go lend my own money. Okay. Who are you going to lend it to? Where are you going to get your leads? How are you going to underwrite the file? How are you going to know what value is? How do you know what's on title? How do you know if title's clean? What are you going to do if they don't pay you? How are you going to collect? What attorney are you going to call to foreclose on? You see, all of these things you have to think about and worry about when you go off and try to do this yourself. But when you bring your money into the fold and let us do it for you, we take care of all those details. You don't have to worry about it. Peace of mind. So this is your invitation to get involved. Help us grow the Circle of Wealth community. Join us in the mission where more people can get involved in real estate and more people can earn a passive return. Be one of the first to join this elite club of fund investors and be rewarded for your support and loyalty with a piece of the financial pie. And you can become an ambassador for the Circle of Wealth Fund 3 and share the wealth by referring new clients. Be vocal participants in the community. Here's my favorite part, right? Many of you watching, you are certified brokers and you are active real estate investors. When you put money into Fund 3, do you realize that you're double dipping? Because not only are you getting the money you need to flip that house, but if your money's in the fund that's writing the loan, you're making money on the interest on your own deal. And as a broker, when you broker a loan to Coco Capital, and we originate and fund that deal out of Fund 3, not only are you getting your broker fee as the broker, but you're also participating in the upside of that loan. You're double dipping. That's smart. So how do you get involved? Step one, you are going to go to leearnoldsystem.com/SEPT. leearnoldsystem.com/SEPT. No, that's wrong. It's May. Yeah. I'm looking at it going, it's not September. That's really weird. Here, let me change that. That's better. Let's try this again. There we go. See? Attention to detail. We're on it. leearnoldsystem.com/May. Step 2, you're going to fill out the form and just let us know your interest. Step 3, you're going to become part of the community and you're going to be rewarded. So step 4, target return of 12% with monthly distributions from fund earnings. Remember, guys, your preferred rate here is 6%, so you have to at least get that before the manager shares in the profits. So I want you guys to leapfrog the Circle of Wealth. Today is your opportunity to go from being an active investor in the real estate space, an active lender in the real estate community, to being a passive participant in the hundreds of transactions that are taking place all over the country every single day, simply because you are involved with us here at Secured Investment Corp and the Circle of Wealth Fund 3. So again, I want you guys to go to leearnoldsystem.com/May, or you can call. If you guys have any questions, you can call our office at 800-341-9918, 800-341-9918. Now, I want every single one of you to go to leearnoldsystem.com/May and fill out the form, okay? You're not committing yourself to making an investment. You're simply saying, I would like more information and send me stuff, okay? Now, there are some of you that you're ready to go right now. Hey, you know, Lee, this makes a lot of sense. I'm ready to go right now. Where do I go? Go to leearnoldsystem.com/May, start the process. You guys can deposit $1,000 right now as we've been watching this evening. You don't need to talk to anybody in my office. You don't need customer service. The process that we've set up is incredibly simple. It's streamlined, it's smooth, it's easy. And when you go to leearnoldsystem.com/May, it'll just walk you right through the whole thing. So if you're ready, you can go put in your $1,000 right now. If you would like to put in more money, $5,000, $10,000, perfect. For those of you that have those self-directed IRA funds that don't have a lot of money in them, and you would like some help in your direction of investment process. For those of you that have a self-directed IRA, you understand the sometimes clunky nature of the direction of investment process. We have people here internally that can help you with that, okay? Bottom line, I want to make money with you, not from you, not because of you. I want to make money with you. And this is a way that we can all collectively make money together while making a tremendous difference in communities all over the nation. as we fund deals for investors, as we acquire properties that are in distress and need of renovation, and we turn them into beautiful homes that people can acquire, be proud of, and live in. I don't know of anything that produces more benefit than this. And that's why I want you to do it. leearnoldsystem.com/May. Okay? Now, while you guys are going there and making your deposit, I'm going to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of our presentation here. Okay? So, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in now. Ken, hey Lee, are there any fees for investments? Management fees charged by the fund? Yes, Kenneth, we charge a 1.75% management fee for the fund, which doesn't even cover our costs, quite honestly. So we get a 1 3/4 point management fee, and we don't get anything else until we produce that 6 pref to you. Murray Wiggins doesn't have a question, just says ka-ching. David Bolt, can I invest in Fund 3 after this webinar? Yes, David, you can. Yeah, and I'm glad you asked, because for those who are like, well, Lee, I want to do it, but I don't have the $1,000 right now, or I want to go to my company and I want to get $100,000 so that I'm out of my 401k and I want to deposit it that way. Cool. Go to leearnoldsystem.com/May and just put in there how much you think you might want to invest, that little slider bar that I talked about. In fact, you know what might help you all? Let's go there together. Nick, has it reached the $50 million level? Not yet, Nick, which is why you guys still have an opportunity to get into the fund. Nick also says, when does the fund start producing? Nick, the fund has already started producing. We've been cutting checks. We opened it in August, and we've been cutting checks ever since. So fund is producing. And we have deals right now that when funds come in, we will be using Fund $3 to invest into those opportunities with. That's what's going on. Let me move this over here. There we go. Okay. Okay, so when you guys go to that link, here's where you're going to come, okay? So all you're going to do is just put in your first name, last name, phone number, email address, and your zip code. Okay? Then you're just going to move this slider. So if you just want to start with $1,000, don't touch the slider. If you think you might have, you know, let's call it $6,000 sitting in an idle self-directed IRA, and you think you want to do $6,000, then just put in $6,000. If you think you want to go to your company and withdraw $100,000 out of your 401k and put it in a diversified fund environment, then you can just go here and put in $100,000. So you have no feed coming from there?
I've been manually following you. We lost it a long time ago. I'm going to bring my machine back in. So
Okay. Then we go to more information, and there's an error. What's the error? Oh, didn't get my email address correctly. There we go. And register now. Okay, so once I put that information in, I am registered, and then it will show you a 7-minute instructional video on how quickly and easily you can enroll in the Circle of Wealth Fund. Then you can click the continue button. So guys, we made this as easy for you as we possibly can. All you got to do is go to that link and get registered and signed up there, okay? Heather Arnold, how long is this Fund 3 going to be available to invest in? Heather, we stop taking investments either when we hit our year of fundraising in August, or when we hit a $50 million, whatever occurs first. So my greatest recommendation to you, Heather, is do not delay. Do this as quickly as you can. Get your money in there as quickly as possible. Barbara says, okay, I am Canadian. What is the process or procedure? Barbara, simple. Go to the form, fill out the form, watch the 7-minute video, begin the deposit of your funds, and the banks will take care of it and do all the heavy lifting. So Canadians, Europeans, wherever you are in the world, you can participate in Fund 3. Now, Fund 3 only lends money to domestic entities in the U.S., and it only flips houses in the U.S. So we do not lend globally, but certainly we do accept contributions globally. Paul says, Lee, what happens to the business if you pulled out or died? Who can do the same job that you do? Paul, I am one of a handful of fund managers, so I'm not the guy. I am just the dude. We have an entire crew here. This is not a one-man show. There is a lot of us that make these returns possible. But you know, in typical CEO fashion, I do very little of the work and get 100% of the credit. Being CEO is good, but no, we have an incredible team that manages this stuff. And in my absence, the company has a big key man insurance policy on me, and they continue to just run the fund. And again, this is not you buying something. This is you putting money into an investment vehicle. So even if I'm dead, your money is still in loans being paid by people who aren't dead. Your money is still in houses that are making returns of people that still live there. So your money doesn't disappear. Your money just continues to remain in these investment opportunities that the money's been placed in. So I'm glad you asked it, because I'm sure others were thinking of it. But my demise does not affect your investment at all. Okay, Mike says, Lee, if you want to put 1,000 and then add another 10K or more, how do you add the additional amount? Also, what happens if someone needs to use some of the funds? So, Mike, what you'll do is you'll just start with $1,000, or you can start with 5,000, guys. If you want to do more now, do more now. But every time you want to put more in, you would just come right back to the same page, the same channel, and you would go through the process again, and you do $1,000 this time, and maybe next month you want to put $5,000 in, you can put in $5,000 next month, and month after next you want to put $10,000 in. You can just keep adding to this. However, we stop accepting contributions in August. So come August, you better have every dollar in there that you want to have in there, because when August hits, we're done. Okay? We cannot accept any more contributions. Boyce Williams says, can you invest from a checking account? Yes, Boyce, you can invest from a checking account. So when you go through the Circle of Wealth Fund 3 process that you will get to when you go to leearnoldsystem.com/May, there will be information if you want to make a deposit through a debit card, if you want to do a balance transfer, if you want to do a wire transfer, if you need to set up a transfer from a direction of investment from your custodial firm for your self-directed IRA. Everything has been thought of, because even through the process of accepting and receiving your capital, we go through a third party. Okay? So we have a third party that administers the collection of your funds, the oversight of those proceeds as they're coming to us, the deployment of, all of that's done through third parties. This is our third private equity fund, you guys, and we've been managing private equity now for going on almost 8 years. So this is not our first rodeo. I know for some of you hearing this for the first time, it may be your first rodeo, but it is definitely not ours. So please involve us in the process. And the questions that you have, guys, don't end here at the end of this presentation. That number on your screen, feel free to give us a call tomorrow or the next day. We are here. Again, the only thing that you need to be aware of from the standpoint of the opportunity ending are we hit the 50 million bucks, we can't accept anymore, or we come to August, whichever happens first. James says, how do I invest from my 401k? Well, James, the first thing you need to do is you need to get liquidity from your 401k. So you would go to your plan administrator through your company, and you would simply say, I would like to withdraw $25,000, $50,000. You can withdraw up to $100,000 right now. Thanks to COVID-19, you can withdraw up to $100,000 at your 401k without penalty, as long as you deposit it back within 36 months. So those of you that have been at your job for 20, 25, 30 years and you've got $400,000 or $500,000 sitting in your 401k, you can pull out $100,000 right now without penalty. Just put it back in 36 months. So why not take $100,000, diversify, put it into Fund 3, let us run it for you, and then call your funds back in 24 months, and then we just put it back into the 401k. So it's not you taking out money and spending it into something that, gee, I hope this works. Guys, we have an 8-year track record of managing other people's money. So I believe that your money is going to a good place, and it's a very wise, safe, and sound investment. Again, just my opinion. Mike, do you get a monthly statement that shows your balance and interest earned? Yes, Mike, you do. We will also create for you an online portal where you can go 24/7. And you can go in and you can check your balance, you can check your yield, you can check your return, everything. Just like any account that you would get through a Schwab or your 401k provider at your office, you're going to have a digital dashboard where you can go in and look at your investment whenever you want. Okay? Good question. Mike, I'm sorry, I missed, how do you make a withdrawal? Withdrawals, Mike, you simply inform us that you would like to withdraw X number of dollars out of the fund, and then when you guys go through the fund pro forma and the fund rules, it stipulates exactly for you how that gets paid out, typically within 30 days, okay? So it's not locked up for any period of time. You can withdraw. Let's see, David. How long after the fund stops accepting investment capital in August will we start seeing returns on our investment? David, like I said, the fund is already operational. The fund is already originating loans. The fund is already flipping houses. So this is not new. The fund opened in August, and we accepted contributions for about 4 months, and then we stopped accepting contributions until about 3 weeks ago. We simply felt like now was the time to open this thing back up and give you guys an opportunity to get more diversification, get money into the fund. So we opened it back up. You were not able to put money into the fund for the last 4 months. So just in the last 3 weeks, it's open again, and that's why we are having this presentation. But we have been originating loans and flipping houses this whole time. So David, your money is going to get put to work immediately as it comes into Fund 3. So you'll begin seeing payouts within the next 30 days because we already have income coming into the fund. We're just now adding new capital to it so we can expand and do even more within the fund environment. And a lot of this has to do, you guys, with the fact that about 50% of our competitors in the private money space are out of business. COVID-19 has literally eliminated like 50% of the private money lenders that were out there. The call volume in Kogo Capital has gone up 400% in the wake of COVID-19 because so many of our competitors are gone, which is why we're like, hey, we need to raise more capital so we can service all of this new business that's being thrown at us, and we wanted you guys to participate. So that's why we are accepting new and more contributions now. Susan says, is it more profitable to use your self-directed IRA to do deals or to put it in this fund and use borrowed money to do deals? Susan, that is a great question for your financial advisor. I will give you my opinion. As you know, your self-directed IRA is limited on the types of deals that it can invest in. Also, to flip houses within your self-directed IRA can be kind of a pain in the rear because everything has to go through your advisor, everything has to go through your custodial firm, they have to cut all the checks for utilities, they have to receive all the rental income. It's kind of a headache. My preference, and this is what sucks about Fund 3, I can't put my money in Fund 3 through my self-directed IRA because I'm a fund manager and it's considered self-dealing. which sucks. Because if I could, I would scrape every cent I have available and I would stockpile it in Fund 3 because it does all the work. The fund does all the work. It lends money, it flips houses, and there's not this continual ongoing back and forth with your custodial firm. Flipping houses in your IRA, for those of you that have done it, it's a pain in the rear. Even for those of you that have a checkbook IRA, it's a pain in the rear, because you have to be so cautious about not doing things that are going to violate the tax policy and making sure that your investments stay tax-free and not getting audited, not dealing with UBIT violations if you leverage the investment to purchase a bigger asset. I mean, so for me, I would much rather have all of my self-directed IRA money in a fund environment like Fund 3, and then I would go out and borrow money from Kogo Capital to flip houses in my LLC, where I can retain 100% of the profits and not have to worry about all of the rules of self-directed, or the rules of self-directing. But that's just me. In my humble opinion, Susan. Debbie Lee, can I take my savings and invest it? Do I have an option to invest as either an IRA or a personal investment? Yeah, Debbie, you can invest as an individual. You can invest through a personal savings account, a personal checking account. You can invest from 401k dollars. You can invest through a trust. You can invest through an LLC. You can invest through whatever vehicle you want. Now, if you don't have a self-directed IRA, I think that every person in America should have a self-directed IRA. Now, I don't own a self-directed IRA company, therefore I have no upside benefit in telling you this. But I think we can all agree that taxes are not going to be coming down anytime soon. Taxes are going to be going up. I mean, we just wrote checks to almost $1 trillion to people all over the nation. That adds to our deficit. We have to raise taxes to pay off our debts as a nation. Taxes are going up. Right now, more than ever, I believe you need to be doing everything you can to protect yourself from taxation as much as possible. And a self-directed IRA is a vehicle that provides one of the best forms of protection from tax than anything I've ever seen. The challenge with a self-directed IRA is that you are limited. If you are under the age of 52, you can only put $5,500 a year post-tax contribution into a self-directed IRA. So if you're just getting started, you can only put $5,500 in this year, $5,500 next year, $5,500 the year after that. Now, there's no limit as to how much profit can be derived into that vehicle tax-free, but your contribution can only be $5,500. So if you are looking to make an investment into Fund 3, let's say through a self-directed IRA, or I'm sorry, if you are looking to make an investment into Fund 3 through a savings account or a checking account, and you want to deposit $5,500 or $6,500, I would strongly encourage you guys to first set up your self-directed IRA, make your $5,500 contribution to your IRA to seed it first, and then through that IRA make your contribution into Fund 3. That, in my opinion, would be the much wiser way to put your money into the fund. Because every month when I send you a check, or I send a check to your IRA, those proceeds are tax-free. And you'll just get a balance from Fund 3 showing your return, and you'll get a balance from your self-directed IRA custodian showing the money that's been deposited into your account tax-free. Now, the other thing that I love about Fund 3 is you guys can actually check a box where you make it a growth fund, where rather than getting a payout every month, we simply take whatever your earnings were for that 30-day period and we just add them to your balance. And your balance just grows and 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 grows. And then we can just make a contribution to your self-directed IRA once a year or in 5 years, whatever you want to do. But yes, if you don't have a self-directed IRA and you want to put money into the fund through a savings or checking account, I strongly encourage you to seed the IRA first and then make the contribution. Now, I would make the same statement for those of you that have a 401k that you can withdraw money out of. You should take those 401k funds that you're able to tap into without penalty right now and seed an IRA. And if you are married with a spouse with kids, I would seed an IRA for you of $5,500. I would seed an IRA for your spouse for $5,500. Combined, that's $11,000 going into a tax defer or a tax-free environment. That goes into your IRA, and then you deposit it into Fund 3. You can make your contribution that way. If you have kids under the age of 18, you can set up a CESA account, Coverdale Education Savings Account. You can do $2,000 per year per child into that CESA account. And then your kids can invest in Fund 3. Isn't that cool? But again, that whole process, you guys, from 401k withdrawal to self-directed IRA setting up to deposit into Fund 3, that could take you a couple of weeks just to move all of those pieces around. But it would be a really wise way to move those pieces around. And my team is here to help you guys do that. That's why there's a phone number on your screen here. If you have any questions tomorrow, you can just call my office. Or better yet, just put your name in the box there at leearnoldsystems.com/May, and they will follow up with you that way. 800-341-9918. Indira says, I'm disabled, served, can't have profits until I can get well. Money invested in real estate and a PMB cert I'm on under $800 a month. If I can save $1,000 before August instead of payouts, which would hurt me, can it pay into a trust or be held and reinvested continuously by you guys until there's at least 20 to 25K so I can prepay rent for 1 year while I invest in the Lee Arnold system, PMB cert, and keep investing in the circle? Yes, Indira. As I mentioned, you can check the box, which is growth fund. And then rather than getting payouts where you're now showing profits, you're just getting a statement showing this was your seed, this is what you started with, this is your 30-day return, 60-day return, 90-day return, 12-month return, and it'll just grow. That's why it's called a growth fund or growth option, okay? Let's see here. Yeah, Verena says, I like the growth fund better. Yeah. Joe, what was the return of the fund received last year? Did it receive additional payout above 6% at the end of the year? Joe, we don't have 12 months of operating history on the fund. We just opened it in August. So we are pointing to returns from Fund 2. And you saw in Fund 2, its first year, it only returned about a 9.42%. And that's pretty common, simply because in that first year, the fund is, it's growing and it's working to scale. It's getting its legs underneath of it. Now, the advantage that we've had here in Fund 3 is we're already an operating private equity fund manager, so we know what we're doing. But I don't have a 12-month anything to point to you for on Fund 3. But again, the best predictor of future performance is past performance. So look at what we've done in the past, and you should have every expectation that that's what we're going to do in the future. Okay, guys, for time's sakes, if I was not able to answer all of your questions here tonight, if I didn't get to one, and the way that I get the questions, you guys, you may have asked me a question 20 or 30 minutes ago that's been so far pushed up now, I'm not even seeing it. But if you do have any questions, go ahead and call that number on your screen, 800-341-9918. You can also contact my office tomorrow and speak with somebody in our funding department. They will be able to help you. But I just want to say thank you for joining us. I hope that this information has been valuable for you, and I'm really excited for all of you that are going to have the opportunity to put your money into Fund 3. Hopefully you can see and tell my enthusiasm about this fund. I think it's going to be fantastic, and we really pushed hard, you guys. This was kind of my labor of love. My executive team was not real excited about Fund 3 because the cost to set it up was pretty astronomical. But to me it was important because so many of you You've been great customers, you've been great clients, and you're going to be great future clients, but you're not accredited. So to not have $250,000 in income annually or $1 million in investable assets, for a lot of you, it was going to be years before you were able to participate in a fund environment. So I wanted to create something that all of you could participate in and take advantage of and have some ownership in an entity that is actively lending nationwide and actively fixing and flipping real estate, which you all have a desire in and are passionate about. And that's what this fund represents, is an opportunity for all of you. And yes, I know it's still $1,000, but I think that's far more attainable than $1 million net worth and then a $50,000 minimum contribution. So that's why we made it a priority. I wanted to make it available for each and every one of you guys. So please take advantage, get your money in this thing, and let's get it put to work. And again, any other questions, please call the number on your screen, or you can go to learnoldsystem.com/May. Thank you all for joining us for the May CEO Fireside. Please leave your comments before you go. What did you learn? Aha moments, favorite parts. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys at the CEO Fireside Chat coming up in June. Until then, God bless you guys. Happy investing. This is Lee Arnold, and we'll see you soon.